Welcome to the Explainer. So I want you to take just a quick second and imagine the sheer, literal, catastrophic danger of a high-voltage short circuit on a major power grid. We are talking thousands of amps of electricity suddenly breaking loose. It creates heat hotter than the surface of the sun, yeah, you heard that right, and explosive energy that can melt solid metal in an absolute instant. Left unchecked, a fault like this could easily take down entire power generation plants and just completely black out cities. But, well, it doesn't happen. Why? Because standing between that destructive force and our modern world is an absolute marvel of engineering, the SF₆ circuit breaker. Today, we're going to unpack this incredible machine, which really acts as the ultimate guardian of our modern electrical grid.
Here is how we're going to break this down today. First, we'll meet the breaker. Then check out its anatomy and components. After that, we'll see arc quenching in action, go over the types and testing, look at maintenance and troubleshooting, and finally, wrap up with safety and the environment.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, Meet the SF₆ breaker.
So fundamentally, an SF₆ circuit breaker is a high-voltage switching device. But listen, it is definitely not like the simple light switch on your wall. It uses a very special gas called sulfur hexafluoride, or SF₆ for short, as its insulating and arc-quenching medium. Now, these heavy-duty devices operate in electrical networks ranging from 33 kilovolts all the way up to a staggering 800 kilovolts. Their one job, their absolute main purpose, is to safely open and close electrical circuits. They do this under normal conditions, sure, but most importantly, they do it during extreme fault conditions, safely stopping massive electrical currents completely dead in their tracks.
Now, what's really interesting about this is why SF₆? What makes this gas so miraculous compared to just, the standard air we breathe every day? Well, first off, SF₆ is completely non-flammable. That is exactly what you want when dealing with explosive electrical heat, right? But its real superpower is its dielectric strength. It's actually 2 to 3 times higher than regular air, meaning it heavily resists the flow of electricity. Combine that with a density that's roughly 5 times heavier than air, so it literally pours almost like an invisible liquid, and you've got a medium that packs incredible insulating power into a really compact space.
Moving right along to Section 2, let's look at the anatomy and main components.
Right at the heart of the breaker's interrupting chamber, we have the fixed contact and the moving contact. During normal, everyday operation, these guys are clamped tightly together, just happily letting the current flow. But when a fault occurs, the operating mechanism mechanically yanks that moving contact away. And here is the absolute genius part. There is a specific, dedicated piece called the arc contact. As the main contacts separate, this arc contact is designed to carry the electrical arc initially. It takes the full brunt of that terrifying heat, so the main, primary contacts don't get melted and destroyed. And surrounding all this is a PTFE, or Teflon, nozzle, housed right inside that highly pressurized SF₆ gas chamber.
We really can't talk about the internal components without highlighting the gas density monitor. You can kind of think of this as the breaker's built-in watchdog, because this entire system completely relies on highly pressurized SF₆ gas to stop an electrical arc. Well, a leak could be absolutely catastrophic. So this monitor is constantly watching the SF₆ gas pressure and density. If it detects even a small leak, it generates alarms. And if the pressure drops way too low to safely extinguish an arc, it actually steps in and completely blocks the breaker from operating. It basically ensures the gas chamber is always ready to perform.
All right, let's see how this all comes together in Section 3, Arc Quenching in Action.
I want you to imagine the clock ticking here in milliseconds. It is incredibly fast. Here's the rapid 6-step sequence of arc quenching. We start at Step 1 with a normal condition. Contacts are closed, power is flowing happily. Then, Step 2, a fault occurs. Protective relays detect a massive, dangerous spike in current and instantly send a trip signal. Boom, Step 3. The mechanism aggressively pulls the contacts apart. Now, as they separate, the electricity basically refuses to stop. It literally rips through the gas, creating a blinding, superheated electric arc. And that triggers Step 4, the SF₆ gas blast. High-pressure gas is forced through that Teflon nozzle directly into the arc. It is essentially a highly engineered fire extinguisher for rogue electrons. By Step 5, the arc is fully extinguished, and in Step 6, the faulty section of the grid is safely isolated.
Let's actually look a bit closer at the physics of that gas blast in Step 4, because honestly, it's fascinating. The blast doesn't just, blow the arc out like a birthday candle.
SF₆ has extreme thermal stability and electronegativity, so as it blasts across the arc, it aggressively cools it and physically captures the free electrons. It literally acts like a molecular sponge for electrons, completely deionizing the arc path. Now, because alternating current naturally crosses 0 volts dozens of times a second, the SF₆ gas swoops in at the very next zero crossing, steals those electrons, rapidly restores its own insulating strength, and just kills the arc permanently. Gone.
Now let's transition over to Section 4, Types and Testing.
So to achieve that perfect high-pressure gas blast every single time, engineers generally rely on two main designs, the puffer type and the self-blast type. The puffer type is your traditional powerhouse. Basically, as the contacts pull apart, a mechanical cylinder physically compresses the gas to create the blast. It is incredibly reliable and by far the most common. But the self-blast or self-pressure type takes a totally different approach, and this brilliantly illustrates how grid engineering constantly evolves. It uses the massive heat energy generated by the arc itself to expand and pressurize the gas. By using the arc's own destructive energy against it to create that pressure, the self-blast type requires way lower operating energy, results in less mechanical wear, and just operates with a much higher overall efficiency.
Now, because these machines literally act as our grid's last line of defense, the testing procedures are incredibly rigorous. Technicians use highly sensitive micro-ohm meters to test contact resistance, making absolutely sure those massive contacts aren't wearing down. They use circuit breaker analyzers for timing tests, verifying that the contacts open in exact simultaneous milliseconds. They also meticulously check the SF₆ gas pressure, gas purity, and especially the gas moisture. Listen, even a tiny, microscopic amount of moisture can severely reduce the dielectric performance and completely ruin the breaker's ability to stop an arc.
Up next is Section 5, Maintenance and Troubleshooting.
These machines don't just sit perfectly untouched in a vacuum, right? They battle the elements every single day, protecting entire power generation plants and massive regional transmission networks. So the life cycle of preventative maintenance starts small with daily visual inspections. You'll have technicians out there checking the pressure gauges, verifying alarms, and just listening. Literally listening for any unusual hiss of a leak. Monthly, they step up the routine to inspect the mechanical linkages, heaters, and electrical terminals. Annually, that's when the heavy diagnostic tools come out to measure contact resistance and timing. And finally, based on the number of operations, the breaker undergoes a major overhaul. This is a massive teardown where worn contacts are replaced, seals are swapped out, and the SF₆ gas is carefully reclaimed and refilled.
But, things don't always go perfectly, which is exactly why technicians rely on strict troubleshooting matrices. If there's low SF₆ pressure, the cause is almost certainly a gas leak, which means an immediate repair and refill. If the breaker fails to trip, which by the way is an absolute nightmare scenario during a fault, the technician knows to immediately go test the trip coils, relays, and the operating mechanism. High contact resistance, that points directly to worn contacts that need immediate replacement. And if moisture somehow gets in, it usually means a seal has failed somewhere, requiring a complete drying or replacement of the gas.
All right, let's wrap things up with Section 6, Safety and Environmental Impact. So the crucial point here is, human safety always comes first. Before anyone even thinks about touching these compact, high-voltage giants, the breaker must be entirely isolated from the grid, strictly locked out, and physically grounded. Technicians have to wear required personal protective equipment, which includes arc-rated clothing and thick insulating gloves. Furthermore, because they're dealing with heavy gas compartments, adequate ventilation is legally and practically mandatory to prevent any risk of asphyxiation in confined spaces. But safety actually extends far beyond the technician, leading us to a major twist in this technology. SF₆ is one of the most potent greenhouse gases ever evaluated. It traps thousands of times more heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide over its lifespan. Yeah, thousands. So while SF₆ is a miracle safety gas for our local electrical grids, it is an extreme environmental hazard on a global scale. This means that minimizing leakage and using highly specialized equipment to recover the gas during maintenance, rather than, just venting it to the sky, is literally a planetary imperative.
And that leaves us looking toward the future with a massive, fascinating engineering challenge. How do we balance the incredible, life-saving grid safety and extreme reliability provided by SF₆ with the urgent environmental need to keep this potent greenhouse gas out of our atmosphere? Engineers today are in a race to design alternative gases and vacuum technologies to replace SF₆ at higher and higher voltages. But until then, these incredible circuit breakers remain our most vital, yet incredibly complex protectors of the grid. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer to understand the science, the mechanics, and the real-world impact of the SF₆ circuit breaker. Keep asking questions and keep exploring.
Inside an SF₆ circuit breaker, sulfur hexafluoride gas provides exceptional insulation. When a fault occurs, contacts separate, and the gas flow rapidly extinguishes the resulting arc. Let's look at the key steps of SF₆ circuit breaker maintenance. First, isolate, de-energize, and properly ground the breaker. Check for leaks, clean components,